Hello everybody, my name is Gabby and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be discussing my September wrap-up and my October TBR, so let's get started. Okay, so I'm gonna be completely honest when I say September was not a great time for reading for me. I've been implementing a lot of new things into my life and I just wasn't able to focus on reading as much as I'd have liked. In saying that, I didn't finish anything in September. I think I started a bit of Meddling Kids, which is right here, and that's pretty much it. Nothing of actual substance. Yeah.
How can you even be a booktuber if you don't read every month?
You tell me. In saying that, this month I'm going to try to be finishing almost, if not all, of the books that I talked to you guys about today. It's definitely a tall order, especially alongside my Gabby's Genre Jumble book selections, but even if I don't finish the entire list, getting through a large chunk of them will still be deemed a success in my eyes. This month I'm sticking to books that have some sort of spooky element to them in celebration of October and one of my favorite holidays, Halloween. So without further ado, let's get on to these books. The first book that we have is The Dreadful Tale of Prospero by Alexander Bracken. Last month I saw a video done by Jessie the Reader who talked about this book, and honestly it just sounds so much fun, so I decided to grab it and make it one of the reads that I did this October. The story follows 12 going on 13-year-old Prosper, short for prosperity, who becomes the vessel of a demon that his great something grandfather made a deal with. The grandfather made a deal that in exchange for eternal servitude to this demon, that the demon would grant them eternal prosperity and successes for the family lineage. However, the grandfather doesn't keep his word, and this angers the 800-year-old demon that he made this deal with. Prosper finds that he only has days to break the curse and ends up teaming up with his uncle, who he hasn't seen in a very long time, and the uncle's daughter, and basically try to figure out how to get rid of this demon once and for all. I've heard that this book is incredibly funny and that the antics between Prosper and the demon are incredibly entertaining as well. I don't know how it couldn't be, especially considering the fact that this demon is 800 years old and that this Prosper kid is like 13, so it's like an 800-year-old trapped in a 13-year-old's body. It's also been said that this book is incredibly spooky for a middle grade novel, so ultimately I'm definitely pumped to read this. The next book that we have is Sleepy Hollow and Other Short Stories by Washington Irving. This is one of the books that I received in my August Owl Crate. I don't have an Owl Crate subscription, but I loved the box item so much that I ended up just buying the August box. I just need to get a subscription because I feel like I would enjoy it. But one day when I'm not like poor and broke and like eating scraps off the floor. The book is composed of multiple classic stories like Sleepy Hollow, Rip Van Winkle, The Spectre Bridegroom, The Devil and Tom Walker, The Pride of the Village, and Old Christmas. Yes. I believe those are all of them. All of these are short stories, so if you are interested, definitely check out the links that I put in the description box below. I just feel like they're already such short stories that if I were to give you as detailed of a synopsis that I usually try to do, that it would basically just get rid of the entire purpose of you reading the short story. So yeah, I'm not talking about them mostly to avoid spoilers in case you really just don't want to know what happens. Definitely check this out if you're looking to read some classics, and I am excited, and we'll talk to you about what I think about them when I do my wrap up for this month. The next book that we have is The Hearts We Sold by Emily Lloyd Jones, which is another one of the books that I received in the August Owl Crate box. The story follows Dee Moreno, a girl who lives in a world where demons are a well-known existence, and due to a neglectful home life and a merit scholarship that is being taken away due to budget cuts at her school, Dee ends up making a deal with this demon to basically receive money so that she doesn't have to leave her boarding school. This demon in particular collects body parts such as arms, legs, eyes, even mouths, and Dee gives him her heart and 2 years of service in exchange for this money. She receives a very large sum, however, realizes that the services that this demon wants her and another group of heartless teens to do are incredibly dangerous, and this leads Dee and this group to basically try to fulfill their services together. In the meantime, Dee also starts to fall in love with another one of the heartless boys that she is involved with, but one of the main questions that they even say on the front of this book is that, is it really her heart to give if she doesn't have it anymore? Or at least on this book it says, her heart is no longer hers to give. Oh! Can she truly love him if she doesn't even have her heart? I don't know. That's why I'm reading it. Next up we have It by Stephen King, which unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably heard of. I recently saw the film and holy crap, it's amazing. Definitely scary and well put together. Prior to seeing the film, I actually did want to read this book because the kind of, honestly, just the trailers and the hype like made me interested. But then after seeing this movie, I was like, yes, I need to read this. And I ended up getting it like just a couple of days after. The story is incredibly long, coming in at around 1,200 pages, so I will be fairly brief on the synopsis and also tell you that this will probably not all get read this month. Yeah, don't expect this in my October wrap-up, like don't even. The story follows a group of kids that call themselves the Losers Club, and all of a sudden kids from school start to go missing, and actually one of the kids from the Losers Club's brother actually goes missing as well. They begin to see hallucinations and images of a clown that they call It. This evil force appears every 28 years and feeds on the fear of its victims in order to ultimately eat them, usually having a final mass killing that allows it to finish eating and slink back into dormancy for another 28 years. This novel is told from alternating time periods that deal with the characters as both children and adults and how they are forced to face an evil presence back in Dairy Maid once again. I know that the synopsis doesn't really scratch the surface, but I have linked all the books that I discussed in the description box below, so if you want to know a little bit more about this, then definitely check that out. But yeah, I'm really excited to read this. Definitely think it'll take me a while, but I'm excited to dive into some adult horror. Like, this sounds really fun. The next book that we have is An Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson. This book was released on September 26th and has honestly been my most anticipated release of the year. I had this sucker ordered like the day that it came out, and then 2 days later I received it at my doorstep, which leads me to say something and thank the people that have made this possible. I didn't prepare a speech or anything, but I'd like to thank Amazon Prime for being reliable and allowing me to indulge in the addiction that I have been struggling with for a very long time. The addiction of reading and ordering books. Now I don't have to wait. I can get my books in a prompt manner, and I just want to thank you for enhancing my life. I would be a much less fulfilled person without you here. So thank you. But yeah, I didn't mean to get so emotional there. I just really felt like Amazon Prime really needed that thank you from me. This story follows a woman named Isabel, a prodigy artist that serves a particularly dangerous set of clients called the Fair Folk. Fair Folk are fairies, and in this particular story, Fair Folk are unable to gauge in mortal pleasures like baking, weaving, and even writing things down on a piece of paper. If they do so, they'll crumble to dust and will basically no longer exist. So that's a pretty good reason not to engage in mortal craft. I would think so, right? Because of this, they crave human craft with an undeniable thirst and basically try to get their hands on anything and everything that is made by a human. Because of this, Isabella is highly sought after for her beautiful paintings and exchanges her services for enchantments that make her life on the farm easier. Everything is going smoothly until she receives her first royal customer in the form of the Autumn Prince, aka the Fairy Prince, also known as Rook. Fairies are not supposed to have emotions, however, and when Isabel draws mortal sorrow into Rook's eyes in his painting, he becomes extremely angry because him having sorrow in his eyes is basically an indication that he's a weak king. Due to Isabel's transgression, Rook basically whisks her away on an adventure back to his kingdom for her to stand trial. However, they meet a lot of obstacles along the way and are ultimately forced to form a close bond that leads them to trust and ultimately love one another. I have already heard and read so many great reviews about this book, and I honestly cannot wait to read it. Another thing I will mention is that this book is only 300 pages and is currently slated as a standalone novel. So if you're looking for a quick fantasy read, then this actually might be the book for you. So definitely keep this book in mind when you're looking for something new to read. The last book on my October TBR is There Is Someone Inside Your House by Stephanie Perkins. The story follows a girl named Makani Young who moves from her home in Hawaii to Nebraska to live with her grandmother. After starting school at Osborne High, her fellow classmates begin to get murdered in extremely gruesome ways, and this leads to a huge manhunt to find the killer, and yeah, that's pretty much the entire synopsis. I will say something that definitely struck me was that, you know, normally when you find a book, they have fairly lengthy blurbs. For example, in this middle grade novel, Prospero, look at this, look at how detailed this synopsis is. It's pretty lengthy. And then you compare it to the blurb here, and there's someone inside your house, and it's really short, and then this is actually just saying how she's, you know, the best-selling author of Anna and the French Kiss. So it's not really that much. So yeah, so it doesn't really seem like this book is full of much depth or anything new, so that definitely makes me a little bit more skeptical about liking this book, especially since I've heard the story is fairly basic, hence the really short blurb that they put in here. Stephanie Perkins usually writes really cutesy, romance-filled stories, and this is her first venture into the horror genre. And to be honest, kind of like I mentioned before with it not having much substance, I haven't seen the most positive reviews about this book, and if you're interested, you can definitely go look on the Goodreads page for this. There are quite a few people who have reviewed this book in depth. In saying all of this, I've never read a Stephanie Perkins novel before, so I thought that I would go ahead and give this one a shot since it fit the spooky theme, and plus the book clocks in at 287 pages, so even if I hate it, at least it'll be over quickly. And with that, guys, we've reached the end. I hope that you guys find some of these books interesting and that you decide to pick them up as potential reads. I'm really hoping that I can get through a large chunk of these books, but I guess we'll just have to see when we have my October wrap up for this month. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and if you liked it, remember to like and subscribe and follow me on my Instagram, Twitter, and Goodreads account at GabbytheBibliophile. Bye!